achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Hey, did you hear? Santa needs new boots this Christmas.
Oh no, if Santa doesn't get new boots, there'll be no Christmas.
Fear not, little ones. Santa won't be slipping down the chimney in worn-out boots this year. Hi, Teresa here from the Fargo Red Wing Shoe Store. We've got the perfect fit for Santa's big night. Comfort, durability, and style. Because even Santa deserves to strut his stuff. So worry not, kiddos. Christmas is back on track. All thanks to the Fargo Red Wing Shoe Store. Come on down and help us keep the magic alive.
Weather and Ag in Focus on WDAY Radio.
And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us on this week before Christmas. It's December 18th, 106 right now, and for once, temperatures about where they should be for this time of year. It's 19 degrees. We got a full check on that forecast coming up here during the show. Meteorologist Justin Storm, Ag Director Bridgette Readel is here, and so is Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki. Hey, how was that dentist trip? Did you get all those teeth pulled that you needed to get pulled out?
Got them all pulled.
They were out of Novocaine, right? You just manned through it.
Oh, yeah. They just had me squeeze onto some foam brick. And then I had all of them pulled and then had new dentures put in top and bottom.
Yeah,
there was a little bleeding over the weekend.
Was
but
this what you were like after they pulled the third tooth?
Pretty much.
Bridgette, how was your weekend? How are you doing today?
Better than Dean. I'm not having to yell and scream.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, not yet.
This show's not done.
Yeah, you give it about 6 minutes, and we'll ask you again.
Fair enough. We'll see where it goes.
Oh, hey, Santa dropped something off here at the station for you. So
yeah, you got mail. Come pick it up.
Is it a check made out to me? Because that's what I'm stopping for.
You know, there's a letter.
Sure, we'll tell you if that's what it takes to get you here. It is a check with your name on it.
I will open the letter and let you know, but I suppose there could be a check in there.
You already did open it. You saw no cash and sealed it back up.
Or the other letter, Dean.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. I'll see what I can do to stop by and keep things under control there at the weather office.
Yeah, it gets a little out of control some days. Especially when the sports guys are in, because they're right next door to us, and now we're starting to have conversations about busting the wall down between our offices and having one big full-court basketball area in there.
So this is why I don't come to the office a lot, because the amount of stuff that I would not get done. Gosh. Okay, well, we'll work on that.
We're going to move your computer to the corner.
I can't even come in because I'm never there. And it's too cold to come anywhere, isn't it? I mean, I've had people complaining that all of a sudden it's chilly out.
It's not even cold. Man, I got up this morning. I took my shower. I got dressed, went out to start the car a little later than I usually do.
Congratulations.
So I just had my jeans and a T-shirt on. I didn't put the jacket or a hat or anything. I step outside. I'm like, man, it just doesn't feel like it's that much of a winter morning. And I ended up checking the temperature. It said 1 below 0, and I'm like, man, it just doesn't even feel cold for some reason. We've just been spoiled with such a warm winter so far that I think that was the coldest morning Grand Forks has had so far. It was -1.
I think it is. I know they were in the single digits before, but yeah,
Fargo was what, 8 degrees this morning was the
last low? Yeah, eight above. We had wind chills below 0, and this is the coldest day of the week. After this, we warm up. We're, as Justin said, 19 right now, on our way up into the mid-20s, so we won't rise too much more, but we will a little bit. And light winds out of the south will start to increase as we head towards evening. And those southerly winds will keep the temperatures up tonight, with the low in the upper teens to near 20. And the winds back off for tomorrow, with highs in the mid to upper 30s. More mid to upper 30s on Wednesday and Thursday, and then into the 40s on Friday. That should wipe out most of the snow. And then we're left with, as we've been saying, the LRC calendar had something painted in the weekend, Christmas weekend, and lo and behold, now our model's catching up on it. You want the good news or the bad news first, Bridgette?
Do you want to know if I'm traveling or not? Does that precipitate
Where are you going?
what you might
where are
be
you going?
sharing? I was going to go to Bismarck and so those types of Western areas later this weekend. Or okay,
well, here's
might as
what
well
we
just
got.
go, right?
The bad news is for any ice fishermen, this storm coming in over Christmas weekend,
especially Minnesota.
Yeah, looks to be mainly rain. Covering most of central and southern Minnesota and all of South Dakota, except the far western part of South Dakota. Now, a couple of our models keeping this mainly south of the FM area. A couple models trying to bring it a little further north. All have rain over us, but then possibly changing to snow Christmas Day. So it looks like mainly at this point, and again, something we'll keep an eye on. But if you have any travel plans going west, Bismarck, but I think mainly into South Dakota and Nebraska, where they could see some more appreciable snow out of this. But again, this could drift north. We'll keep a close eye on it. But keep up to date on the forecast if you're traveling Christmas weekend, especially that Sunday, Monday time frame.
So Bridgette's going to Bismarck, and the models have it hitting south and rain in Minnesota. So we should be watching for the models to start shifting it over Bismarck.
Probably.
Thanks, Bridgette.
The likelihood is strong, and I'm so glad I can help you guys with your weather predictions. That's what I do for you.
Weather forecasting has gotten so much easier since you've been around.
Right. We know where all the bad is headed. Shit's going with her.
Now I know which way the models are going to go. I know when there's going to be something because you're driving, and wherever you're going to is where it goes.
Yeah, I would say that the reputation I have earned, and I do mean earned, especially after last year, is not wrong.
Oh, man.
It is spot on, no doubt.
It got rough. Yeah, was it a surprise to any of you that I'm looking to put some sandbags in the back of my pickup for the just in case moments?
Sure, right?
Not anymore. Well, let's see. What do we got coming up on the show today? We got a few topics that we'll try and sneak in here and towards the end of the show. Soy foods for your good health is one of those topics, as well as farm leadership and your farm management. And our third topic for today is what in the heck is keeping beef prices so high? And I don't even need Bridgette to answer this one because I already know why beef prices are so high. And it's because you...
Do tell.
Yes, you. You keep going to the store and spending what they're asking for it. So why would they bring it down in price?
Okay, that's an idea if you actually could go to the grocery store and negotiate, but I don't believe that's going to happen. Let's factor some other things into that. Some of that would include when you are looking at the input cost for beef, one of the highest, the 40 to 70% of the budget for raising a beef animal is feed. What was our weather like last year, gentlemen? Bueller?
Yeah, very snowy.
Snow.
So you're going to, cost more for feed.
Well, let's think. Yeah, you're right. So in the winter months, you were having to move all of that snow in order to feed. You had
see how
diesel
she fit
costs,
that in?
labor.
You had to move it. He didn't catch it.
Ooh, I think we got him moving.
But that's it. That's my move. But through the summer months, we had drier conditions. In some places they had a shorter hay crop. Western South Dakota, thankfully, had a bit more. So did parts of Western North Dakota. Other areas saw a shorter hay crop. We still see corn prices that are increased over what most cattle feeders would really like to see. So essentially where we're at is feed costs are high. That's going to keep our beef costs high. And the same goes for interest. If you've borrowed money to buy cattle, to raise, to feed out, you may have been using interest rates less than 5.5% if it was prior to 2022. Sometimes it was even down into the 4% range. Now we're at 8. Those interest costs are climbing and compounding what we're doing as well. So a lot of things factor into what's going on with our beef costs right now. And it's still an in-demand protein. People aren't backing down on the amount of beef that they want to purchase and consume here in the United States. We are seeing changes in what people want to do in other countries because there it's more pork, more chicken. But for us, it's likely beef.
I guess that's something to think about.
It is. Maybe you want to find a local butcher and be buying some on your own.
Yeah, I can't afford meats. It's too expensive for me. We've really cut back on how much meat we've purchased compared to past years. What about you?
A lot more pastas.
Are you considering other options instead of more red meat?
As someone who just bought a half a beef, but remember, I also come from a beef production family, so I have some options. I know who to buy from. We're taking it into the local butcher, that kind of thing. So I still have red meats in my freezer. But you're right. Before we butchered, I wasn't buying nearly as much as the grocery store because I was anticipating being able to buy it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Dean, yourself?
I told you what I do. I bought a food sealer. You ask the meat department, when is your expired meat going on the shelf or near to expire? Buy it, seal it, freeze it.
The oxidized stuff?
I don't know when it's.
Okay.
Yeah. It's meat.
Yeah.
It's meat. Steaks.
Our guest that'll be joining us here in a few moments as well as joining us in studio. And Bridgette, do you want to introduce who Sherry Koch is?
I would love to. So Sherry is joining us today. She's with the Mosaic Company. They are a global fertilizer company. But it's not just about markets. In fact, we're probably not even going to get to markets, you guys. We need to talk about the basics. So when I say we're doing fall fertilizer, NP or K, and farmers are looking to buy more MAP or DAP, anybody know what that one means?
MAP or DAP?
MAP or DAP.
Yeah,
MAP or DAP.
I guess I don't know. I just put fertilizer on my lawn.
Okay, well, we're going to figure out what those things are, where they are globally, and then in addition, what does the plant need them? Sherry's got a long career in ag. She has spent time as an agronomist in the field, so she's got hands-on experience for us, and we'll be able to get to that pretty quickly. So don't go anywhere. We have Sherry Koch in studio with the Mosaic Company.
A solid day higher in cattle on Monday. You're listening to the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen with this market update. Well, feeder cattle leading the charge to the upside on Monday with triple-digit gains holding here as we wrap up trade, with live cattle finding some moderate spillover support as well. Hogs pretty quiet on the day, just kind of chopping around the unchanged mark. But strong triple-digit gains in feeders really helping stimulate the strong support across the live cattle complex. We saw gains of nearly $4 per hundredweight at one point in many nearby contracts in feeders. Most of the trade activity for the week in futures is likely to be done through the first half of this week, as the upcoming Christmas weekend typically starts eroding trade interest and volume as we get closer to the holiday. Now, we do have the December cattle on feed report, quarterly hogs and pigs report coming up Friday. After the market close, there will be some anticipation to the direction of these reports, but given the timing, markets will not be able to trade these reports until next Tuesday after the Christmas holiday. That could leave some uncertainty to how much of the focus will be on pre-adjustments or significantly delayed report shifts due to expected sluggish holiday trade. We look at beef cutouts here at midday. Those are mixed with choice down 256, 289.08, select up 247, 263.29 with a moderate movement being seen. Pork cutout value, that's up $1.51 at midday, 84.53. You're listening to the American Ag Network.
Wheat growers of the North, it's time to push performance to answer the call of West-bred wheat. With regionally proven varieties like WB 9590 and WB 9479 with high protein, yield potential, and standability. Trust West-bred wheat to help you get the most out of every acre. Now's the time. Boldly grow. Seize the season with West-bred wheat. Performance may vary. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
When it comes to cereal disease protection, Prosaro Pro 400 SC fungicide from Bayer makes all the difference. With 3 effective active ingredients for overlapping control of foliar and head diseases, and a flexible application window for head scab, it's formulated to lower DON, protect yield potential, and promote superior grain quality. Prosaro Pro, the future of plant health, starts here. Visit prosaropro.com to learn more. Always read and follow grain marketing and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions.
As we look at a few of the futures numbers ahead of the close, February hogs down 27, 71.62. April down 7, 78.55 at hogs. January feeders up 270, 223.60. March up 255, 224.72. December live cattle up 97, 169.20. February up 52, 169.87. Feeder cattle index up 123, 219.07. Lean hog index down 60 at 67.15. This is the American Ag Network.
Weather and Ag in Focus on WDAY Radio.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us this afternoon here on Weather and Ag in Focus. And you might be dashing off to do some last-minute Christmas shopping. Don't forget to check out our website, making sure that you click on the Hot Links button, because then you can order your commemorative Steiger tractor. This is the Steiger Cougar 4. It's a KM280 duals 3-point hitch in the iconic green color. This Steiger tractor also comes sequentially numbered from 1 to 150. It has our WDAY logo on it, and yes, it even has my signature. And you can still get that in time for the holidays. So I like how you slid every sounder you could in there, Justin.
I had to
Very
put
nice
a couple
work.
in there,
Just in case.
Bump it up a little.
I think you did
There
well.
you go. It did well. And maybe by the end of the show, you'll have convinced our guest to take one home with her for Christmas. That guest is Sherry Koch with the Mosaic Company. Howdy, Sherry. How are you today?
Hi, Bridgette. Doing good. How are you?
Fabulous. So when we talked on Friday, you said, what do you want me to talk about? Well, first of all, introduce yourself. Who are you and what do you do in ag?
So I am Sherry Koch. I work as a senior technical sales manager for the Mosaic Company, which is a fertilizer company. And as you mentioned earlier, that I've got a long stint. I'm not going to age myself, but lots of years in the industry, working in retail sales, working directly with farmers, working with seed and chemistry companies, and the last 12 years of my career working in the fertilizer world.
All right. Well, everybody always talks about what we're doing in the field. Are we going to have fertilizer and stuff? Let's go right on past that. What is some of this stuff? When we talk about urea, and I've described it as the little white round prills, like they look as though they came out of a beanbag from the 70s. Why is that important to what we do farming in this region?
Well, first of all, urea is a nitrogen source. And urea is the most commonly used, probably one of the most important, even though I don't work directly with urea, but as far as fertilizers go, it's probably the most important one. And it's one of those that it's been around a long time. Back in the day, I think they started doing more work with that probably back in the 50s and 60s. And so it's been around a long time, but it's been a key component in growing better crops.
And we use nitrogen for wheat, for corn. Those are probably our two primary reasons that we're using nitrogen in this region. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah, I would say nitrogen goes on pretty much every crop, depending on, there's some crops that produce their own nitrogen. A lot of the legume type crops like soybeans and alfalfa and things like that. Oftentimes there's still some nitrogen that ends up going on, whether it's in a phosphate type product or something else. But urea is the most commonly used, or anhydrous ammonia are the two that we use mostly up in this neck of the woods. For example, anhydrous is an 82% nitrogen, and it's more of a gas. And then we have the dry granule, like you said, the little wet granules would be the urea, which is a 46% nitrogen.
And you said that's the most common used one?
It is, along with other fertilizers, but nitrogen is one of the most important components when it comes to how our crop grows, the photosynthesis side of things, just being able to produce the good quality crop.
And how far has fertilizer come over the last 10 to 20 years? Let's say 20 years.
Well, I hate to say this, but in the last 20 years, not very far.
Really?
In the last 50 years, it's done a little bit more. So Bridgette mentioned DAP, MAP earlier, which are phosphate sources. In the nitrogen side, as we were just talking about nitrogen, urea and hydrous ammonia have been around, 50, 60 years. There really hasn't been a lot of new stuff. There's some encapsulated urea, which is more of a slow release. But other than that, there's just been some new liquids. It's basically the same components, just put in a different jug, right? Or in a different form. But as far as dry fertilizers, there hasn't been a lot of innovation in the last 30 years.
Any reason?
It's expensive, right?
Yeah.
And it's tough to get nutrients to stick together, and I can hit on that a little bit more as we talk, but it's a tough product to make, right? And it's not necessarily the most safe. When you mix certain nutrients together, for example, with Mosaic, we blew a stack off of one of our plants down in Florida because we had a little too much combustion going on there.
Yeah, that'll happen.
So, yeah. But yeah, so it's not something that a lot of people are investing in today. It's more of how can we make our current fertilizers more usable and more sustainable.
Right, and I think some of those that you fertilizing chemicals you use, they're kind of in an unstable state, aren't they? I mean, they used to make homemade bombs out of, what was it, nitroglycerate or something like that, right, which was a fertilizer, right?
And then even anhydrous ammonia is you have to be very careful because that's extremely dangerous. Lots of retailers are getting out of anhydrous ammonia just because of the safety factor.
So here's a quick question for you, and I know you got a bunch more, Bridgette, but fertilizers you've mentioned really haven't come a long way, say, as some other forms of technology and things we use in agriculture. Do you think that fertilizers have peaked, or do you think that there's something bigger and better somewhere down the road to come?
Well, working for a fertilizer company, we definitely have things coming down the road. I can't speak so much on the nitrogen side of things, but we use a lot of nitrogen in our products. So it's going to continue to evolve. It's just a much slower process than what you see with seed companies or chemistry companies. There's lots more hoops with the EPA that we have to go through, and then it's a matter of you're pulling this out of the ground. For example, it's like on the phosphate side, we're mining phosphate rock, right? So there's just so many different components to it that it'll continue to change. It's just a matter of what can we add to it to make it better. So there's other components that I think will be added to it.
Okay.
And I think that's where some of the technology goes, is in unique delivery systems, how things are paired up. But I do want to go back to what you guys were talking about when it comes to the different forms of nitrogen. So we talk about urea, probably the most stable form. It's a dry form, but then also anhydrous ammonia. And I have had comments from listeners saying, I wish we didn't use it anymore. It's dangerous. Like any other product, or even driving a fast car, treat it with respect, because we know that farmers have used anhydrous ammonia up and down the Red River Valley and really in the tri-state area for years and have not had concerns. But you do have to treat it with respect. And I mean, some of those safety precautions, we just have to remember that when anhydrous ammonia as a gas, let's say it escapes its tank or there's a leak in a hose, etc., it's looking for a water source. Would that be the best way to describe it, Sherry? That's what it does when it goes for the body.
Yes. Hence why it's so key and so important to wear eye protection. Even if you inhale it, it will literally burn your lungs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So it's very dangerous.
Got to be careful.
Yep, exactly.
If you get it on your skin, you're going to want to, that's why there's often water tanks by anhydrous ammonia plants, is so you can douse yourself in water to try to be safe. I personally have had a little bit of that anhydrous blow by me, and I've gotten a lungful. You will crawl over your own mother to get away from that stuff if you have to. It's not funny.
It will literally bring you to your knees. I mean, it's such a strong, if you think a skunk smells bad.
Right.
Anhydrous is all over that, so.
Wow.
When we mine urea, Sherry, where does it come from? Where's most of our sources for nitrogen coming from around the world?
So most of the reserves in the world for urea come out of China, which is number one, which is the largest supply or the deposits there. Russia comes in number two, and then U.S. and India is where most of it comes from. And so about 88% of it in the U.S. goes into fertilizer, nitrogen. And so, as you mentioned, there's many different sources. The two primary ones that we use here in agriculture is urea and anhydrous. That's straight nitrogen.
And this region is probably the largest user of urea all across the entire country. From what I've read statistically in the past, we are a big user for this region. And again, for a lot of the crop that we raise, we have so many different crops that we raise that's a part of it, and it is there for our yield, especially when you think about a corn crop. Corn needs nitrogen. That's going to be what's going to pump our yield and make those plants tall and healthy and do their best with photosynthesis.
That's right.
It is 1:29 in the afternoon. We're at the bottom of the hour. So this is a time for us to catch up with our sponsors, listen to local news. But when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Sherry Koch. She's with the Mosaic Company. We want to talk a little bit about P&K, because you always talk N, P, and K going out to the field. And we now know what the N is. What's the P and the K? And what are we going to use with it? So stay tuned. We'll talk about fertilizer after this.
Get ready to savor the moments and share the joy this holiday season. Give the gift of great food to fuel their fun at Kingpins. Now through Sunday, December 24th, visit Kingpins and pick up the perfect gift for your loved ones. When you purchase a $25 Barron's gift card, you'll receive a $5 bonus Barron's gift card. Buy a $50 Barron's gift card, and we'll add a $10 bonus Barron's gift card to your purchase. And for those who go big with a $100 Barron's gift card, you'll get a whopping $25 bonus Barron's gift card. Food and beverage gift cards are redeemable at Barron's, 48 Lounge, and Axis Tilt. This holiday season, it's all about good food and great memories. Visit Kingpins today and make your holiday gift giving extra special. Don't miss out on this limited time offer at Kingpins in Fargo.
Good afternoon, I'm Tom Tucker, WDAY News First. The North Dakota Supreme Court will soon hear the case involving public survey access. Summit Carbon Solutions wants to build a CO2 pipeline across the state, but a property owner where the pipeline would be placed doesn't want the pipeline or crews on his land. Howard Malloy lost his case in district court, so he's appealed to the state Supreme Court, which will take up his case today. Other landowners are also plaintiffs in the case. With Christmas just around the corner, the Salvation Army in Fargo is asking for help in reaching their donation goal for 2023. So far, they've collected just short of $397,000. That's about 42% of their goal of $950,000. Minnesota is one step closer to selecting a final design for a new state flag. The citizen-submitted design on the left features a white star on a navy blue background. On the right side, it features 3 bands, 1 light blue, 1 white, and 1 green. We're told the bands represent land, snow, and sky, while the star references Star of the North. The State Emblems and Redesign Commission is now looking at potential alterations to the final design, including a larger star, changing the star's color, or a variety of other changes. The next meeting for the commission is set for Tuesday. Tom Tucker, WDAY, and WDAYRadioNow.com.
The mission of Olivet Lutheran Church in Fargo is to tell the story of Jesus' love for all people without exception. Worship with us Sunday mornings at 8:30 at our traditional service, 10:30 at our contemporary service, or Wednesday evenings at 6. Join one of our many ministry groups, like the Olivet Choir, Bell Choir, Bible Studies, Women's Ministries, Quilting and Crafting, or volunteer inside and outside our walls. For more information, go to olivet.org. Encounter Jesus, experience grace at Olivet Lutheran Church.
This is Mark Wagner at ND Estate Services. I want to thank all the listeners out there and just really wishing you a very Merry Christmas. God bless you. Have a Happy New Year. Encouraging you to give your family the gift of avoiding probate at death, eliminating legal guardianship when you're incapacitated, saving taxes, protecting their inheritance. Find out more at ndestateservices.com, 701-318-0908.
Light up the season by treating yourself to a new vehicle at Pucklich and Valley City. Choose from our wide selection of over 100 new Chevys available with special end-of-year savings. That means save nearly $8,200 on select new 2024 Chevy Silverado 1500s. As we wrap up the year, we would like to thank our loyal community as you have made our success possible. Merry Christmas from everyone at Pucklich Chevrolet GMC in Valley City. See dealer for details.
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. And you may have heard the commercial. So just to reiterate, if you are thinking about doing some work with over the holidays with family, doing a little estate planning, you might want to have a chance to give a call to Mark Wagner at ND Estate Services. Give him a call at 701-318-0908 because he can help you take a very complicated process, break it down to make it a little bit easier, avoid probate, protect from guardianship, and above all, save on taxes. So If you are thinking that this might be your end of the year to make those decisions, give Mark a call. And today's kind of like science class. I guess we're reviewing some of the periodic table, if you will, because we're talking about NP and K.
And speaking of the periodic table, so before we go any further, Bridgette, Mr. Storm here was telling us a little joke.
That's a fun joke.
So let's see if Bridgette gets it. So go ahead there.
So I found out what the beak of a goose is made out of, how they make them, the things that they put in there to make those beaks for them. And they're made out of hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and potassium.
Boom, boom. Just thanks. Just give him the courtesy chuckle. There we
Thanks
go.
Thanks for the courtesy chuckle.
There we go.
It was cute.
Honk, honk.
You know how many people have no idea what we're talking about right now? Probably 60% of the people going up and down the interstate.
Yeah. You want to explain it?
That's why
those
you could say honk honk.
Those are elements and the elemental letter associated with all those chemicals.
Hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and potassium.
It was
sympathy.
cute.
Yeah, it sucks.
It was cute. Boy, she's giving you more than a sympathy. She actually said it was cute. All right. Sorry, Bridgette.
I gotta be careful.
Oh my God.
I gotta be careful. He's controlling my mail there at the office. So before I get in to get it, I gotta
You got
make
a
sure
couple
I don't get
things
it destroyed. Okay, so we've got Sherry Koch with the Mosaic Company, and Sherry is our expert in the field talking about fertilizer today. So we already talked about nitrogen as an N. P and K, where would you like to start, Sherry? Which one's your favorite, and why are we using them?
Well, I'd say let's start with phosphorus. I work for a phosphate and potash company, Mosaic, and so I've got a little more background than I do with nitrogen. But I got a trivia question before we get started. Maybe you guys can help me out.
All right.
How many pounds of phosphorus do we all have in our teeth and our bones? Any good guesses?
Wait, say that again.
How many pounds of phosphorus do we have in our bones and teeth?
Pounds. Bones and teeth.
I'm going to go 2.
I'm going to go 5.
Bridgette, any good guesses?
I'm probably at like, no, not there. I'm going to say like 0.8. It's slightly less than a pound.
Well, we have a winner. 2 pounds is what it is.
Oh,
good job, Dean.
Wow.
You finally won.
I did well in chemistry when I wasn't sleeping.
And you got my honk joke, too, so that's a plus.
That's a plus. So phosphorus is all over. And we at the Mosaic Company make different forms of phosphorus. And you mentioned earlier, Bridgette, you talked about DAP, which is diammonium phosphate. And then we have MAP, which is monoammonium phosphate. And so not to get too deep into the weeds, but we basically have MAP, which is an analysis of 11% nitrogen, 52% phosphorus, and DAP, which is 18% nitrogen and 46% phosphorus. And so mainly in this neck of the woods, up and down the Red River Valley, due to some higher pHs and things a little different with our soils, most of our customers in this neck of the woods use MAP, which is an 1152. And then there's also a product that Mosaic makes, which is Micro Essentials, which is a MAP-based, which we just add a few extra micronutrients in there, zinc and then sulfur as well. And so phosphates are one of those. Been in the U.S., started mining phosphates back, what did I see, in Florida back in the late 1800s. And so it's it's been around for a while. The first mine was they first started mining. They founded in 1881 and they started mining in 1890. So phosphate mines have been around for a long time. Mind you, the mining process has definitely changed. And so it's above ground mining, meaning they use these huge drags, which are like 7 million pound backhoes.
Oh, cool.
And we dig out the phosphate rock, and that's where it starts from. And we run it through a process, and we make fertilizer out of it. Products that are usable for farmers out into their fields. Bridgette, you have a question?
I do. Okay, so we're not only using phosphate on farm, but isn't that one of the components that we see most often for lawn care as well? Golf courses, that type of thing.
Oh, for sure. Lots of phosphate. And like you said, it's the biggest part of it goes into agricultural fertilizer, but you're right. There's a lot that goes into turf. And actually, we have a whole separate division within Mosaic that is strictly feed. So if you look at your cat food, dog food, there's always phosphate in there, right?
Really?
And so we've got a much smaller division than our agricultural division than our fertilizers, but we also have one that is strictly for feed.
I had just read something about that, about phosphate feed in beef animals. And now I'm going to have to go back and find that article because I was slightly surprised. I always think about phosphate in an agricultural sense in the field for grain production, but I don't think about it when it comes to what we're doing livestock wise. So that's good to know. Is Florida the only place where we're mining phosphate in the U.S., or where else are we mining?
Florida has the biggest deposit. We don't have any deposits in Louisiana, but we also have mines there that we make the products out of, where we'll ship phosphoric rock to, which is what we produce. So we dig it out of the ground, we send it to a processing plant, and we make phosphate rock, phosphoric rock. And what we do at our mines is we mix it with sulfuric acid, which then in turn becomes more of a phosphoric acid, and that goes through a granulation process, which is about 300 degrees. So it dries everything out. And that's how we get our little tiny granules that you see spread out into the fields or onto lawns. And so it's a process. There's a lot involved in that. And I always ask folks, because we have huge pipe systems, right? Because we could be 10, 15 miles away from a mine from where we actually process it. And we make this big sludge, and we try to get all the phosphoric rock out, and then we pump that basically back to our mines to where we process it. But there's one little critter that raises major havoc with our piping system. You guys have a good guess of what that might be?
It's not the
critter?
sock elves, is it?
No. The wild
sock elf?
The wild hog.
Oh. Really?
And we can't hunt them on Mosaic-owned land, but we can catch them and release them. But if any of you have been paying attention to the news as well, they're worried about wild hogs coming in from Canada, coming up from the south. So that's a little tidbit there,
but
too.
You can't hunt them, you said, right?
We can't hunt them on our property.
Wait, you can't, or can other people hunt them?
Nobody can on that property. But we can pick them up and move them somewhere else where you potentially could, but we can't do it there. So yeah, there's just a lot to it.
We're saying the hogs are high on phosphate. Is that the
that's
conclusion I'm drawing?
That's a new way to look at it, for sure. I'm going to have to use that one with our management team, see how that goes over.
So, Sherry, you've been an agronomist in the field. When you were recommending phosphate for any of your growers, was there a particular reason? What was in any particular crop in the plant, why you wanted to make sure it wasn't phosphorus deficient?
Well, phosphorus does a lot in the plant too, but it helps with our cell wall strength. It helps with photosynthesis as well. It also helps with just the overall growth of that plant and the cell wall. So, and there's many other things as well that phosphorus can do in the plant, but we want to make sure that we have that. Like you mentioned, Bridgette, when we do a soil test, whether it's out of a field or out of a lawn or a golf course, right? They always check for NPK. And those are the top 3 macronutrients, right? Sulfur is one of those as well. And then you get down all your micronutrients, which we just don't need as much of them. We need them. We just don't need as much, hence why we call them micronutrients. But yeah, those are the top 3 just because they do the most in crop production, quality, and plant growth.
Okay, so without racing to Google, because we haven't even gotten to K yet, at one point in my career, I remember taking customers to mines in Esterhazy, which is in Canada. And if I'm not mistaken, that would have been potash. Sherry, do you remember? Is that a potash mine up there?
Yep. We have our potash mines several of them in Canada and one in the U.S. But there are several deposits throughout the world of potash as well. The biggest majority of it actually is in Russia. So talking about what's happening with the war there, there's lots of concern about what's happening and what will happen with the potash market. And we'll hit that at another time. But 34% of the world's potash comes out of Russia. About 21% comes out of Canada. And the mines that we have and the ones that you probably looked at, Bridgette, were in Canada. And Esterhazy is actually a Mosaic-owned one, and today houses the largest potash mine in the world. And potash mining is totally different than phosphate mining in the sense where phosphate mining is above ground. Potash mines run about 3,000 feet deep.
Wow.
And so imagine going down 3,000 feet deep every day to work a 12-hour shift.
Right.
So
okay, so that was where I was headed with that is got to do that where literally you got in a giant cargo elevator, went that 3,000 feet down, but then they're piping down electricity, etc. So it's lit, and you got in these little Jeeps and drove out underground, and we went miles underground into some of the mine shafts, and there's a huge mine machine, and it looks like a bear claw that just keeps rotating and mining that potash out. In fact, I think they even named them things like Grizzly and Kodiak, etc., because they called it a bear claw. And the Jeeps would stop somewhere that it was unlit and turn all the lights off. You can't imagine how dark and how black that was when they turned all the lights off. And everybody came out. We were so glad to see daylight, and you're just covered in salt because of the dust coming off the mining. So if you've never done it, it's really cool.
It's awesome. It's more fun to do the potash mine tours just because you go so deep. And then, like you said, Bridgette, we'll drive. It's not uncommon to go 10, 15 miles underground to get to where the miners are that Bridgette explained that actually dig out the ore.
That's crazy. So what is potash?
So potash is potassium, K, as you mentioned it in the honk, right, K? And so it's a nutrient that, there again, we test for NPK. It's one of the majors that we want to make sure that we have because potash is important because it's not very mobile in the soil. And so we need to put it down usually every year. Those of us in the valley here, the Red River Valley, tend to have higher potassium levels just because potassium loves to latch onto the clay particles in the soil, so it ties up a little quicker, which is a whole nother chemistry talk that we can have another time about potash or potassium. But it's called the crop regulator, so it helps with the little stomatos on the leaves so the plant doesn't respire too much water when we have heat and drought situations. And so it does a lot as well in the plant. It helps a lot with the root growth and the stem growth as well. So it's KCl we use. It's a salt. Bridgette, you mentioned being down in the mine, and when we mine potash, we dig the ore out, we bring it up to the surface, and any equipment that's down there stays there forever. Precisely what you said earlier about oxidation, because it's such a high salt content down below that when it comes up, it would just rust. So all of our equipment that goes down in pieces, gets put together down below ground, anywhere from 2,800 to 3,200 feet below ground, and 95% of the time it stays there. So it's
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. It's fun. There's a huge deposit up in Canada, comes down into North Dakota. And Bridgette, when you were there, I don't know if they told you this, but do you know why we mine it in Canada and not in North Dakota and Montana?
Does it come down to regulation and rules?
That's part of it. It's 3,200 feet below ground in Canada. In western North Dakota, it's about 7,000 feet below ground.
Right.
So it's not as economical to mine here as what it would be there. And then the regulations would be the other piece.
But
of it
worst
too.
case scenario, we got more down there tucked
We got
away.
some. Yeah, we got you covered. So there's probably 100 years worth of deposit in Canada alone.
Wow.
So we're good for a while.
Cool.
So I love days like today where I know the guys probably looked at the list and they're like, fertilizer, what could be so interesting about fertilizer? And here we are. It's nothing but a big science discussion today, and this has been fabulous. So Sherry Koch with the Mosaic Company, thank you for coming in and being the expert. I know that after you and I talked on Friday, we have a whole list of things that we didn't even get to yet, so we'll have to do this again one day.
Part 2
We will.
Coming soon.
Yes, part 2. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Merry
Yeah.
Christmas, by the way.
Same to
Well,
you.
thanks for
Absolutely.
coming in, and again, thanks for the sympathy laugh.
Sure. No problem. Anytime.
Honk, honk.
All right, it is 1:49 in the afternoon. We're going to catch up with the news. Be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. But right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
Get ready to savor the moments and share the joy this holiday season. Give the gift of great food to fuel their fun at Kingpins. Now through Sunday, December 24th, visit Kingpins and pick up the perfect gift for your loved ones. When you purchase a $25 Barron's gift card, you'll receive a $5 bonus Barron's gift card. Buy a $50 Barron's gift card, and we'll add a $10 bonus Barron's gift card to your purchase. And for those who go big with a $100 Barron's gift card, you'll get a whopping $25 bonus Barron's gift card. Food and beverage gift cards are redeemable at Barron's, 48 Lounge, and Axis Tilt. This holiday season, it's all about good food and great memories. Visit Kingpins today and make your holiday gift giving extra special. Don't miss out on this limited time offer at Kingpins in Fargo.
Are you suffering from neuropathy? Do you experience stabbing pain, numbness, tingling, or burning in your feet? Are you tired of sleepless nights and avoiding life due to pain? If you've been diagnosed with neuropathy or are experiencing pain or numbness in your feet, pick up the phone and call us right now before it's too late at 701-929-7545. Again, that's 701-929-7545. Neuropathy is a very serious and progressive disease where your nerves start to break down. Eventually, it leads to balance problems, falls, complete loss of independence, and it can lead to amputation. Our program addresses the underlying causes and doesn't simply mask your symptoms with medication. In fact, many patients start experiencing relief from neuropathy symptoms within weeks. There's no surgery and no use of prescription drugs. Pick up the phone right now and call 701-929-7545. Call us today at Dakota Clinic of Chiropractic at 701-929-7545 today.
Bonjour! Let Reed Event Center at Reese & Riley's Olive Oil and Bistro Bar in Moorhead host your next party, reunion, or corporate gathering, featuring an exquisite Mediterranean culinary experience with local ingredients and fresh handmade pasta, including gluten-free options. Casual or formal, Reed Event Center offers a unique and sophisticated experience. For bookings, call Reed Event Center at 218-303-1279 or visit reeseandrileys.com. Bon appetit!
Weather and Ag in Focus on WDAY Radio.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. It is 1:53 on this afternoon. Hey, you want to join in on the program, ask some questions, be a part of the conversation? Give us a call on the Red Wing Shoes phone line. That's 701-293-9000. And we'll head over there real quick. Wade, welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. How's your day going?
Pretty good.
Hey, I'm glad to hear. What's going on?
Bridgette, how do you bale corn on the cob? You know, whether you use a round baler or those 70 to 80-pound square bales?
So they would be more of the corn stalks, Wade, not the cob itself. So I'm not sure if Wade had an end joke to go along with that, but you'd want to be baling corn stalks, which a lot of guys do.
I don't know. I was waiting for the punchline and he just hung up.
So yeah,
I don't know what just happened.
It's a legit question though.
I thought there was something coming out other than that.
I've had people ask that question before, if they, how you bale corn, and literally it's the stalks after harvest. After you've run a combine through there, you can run through there with a round baler and make corn stalk bales and use them for feed and fodder throughout the winter season.
Didn't he say corn cob though?
He did.
He said
you
cobs.
bale the cobs.
Yes.
That's why I was.
I'm like, there's got to be a joke. Well,
hopefully Wade lets us know what it was.
You know what? This is the joke right here. That's what the joke was.
Yeah. Joke's on you.
He's got us guessing.
He's like, I can't believe I got these guys talking about that stupid joke so long. It's better than my joke.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it is.
Honk.
Maybe. Honk.
All right. What do we got coming up next on the program here? We got another check on the forecast coming up here in a moment, but why don't we hit a couple ag topics here because we have two to do as well.
Sure.
And one of those is the almost got ahead of myself. That's tomorrow's. I'm really looking forward to asking about tomorrow's topic, Bridgette. So this one, farm leadership and your farm management.
So we're getting to the end of the year and folks are making decisions about what they're going to be doing going forward next year. What are things that went well that maybe you want, or maybe things that you might want to change? And no doubt management and leadership seem very close in definition, but they can differ quite a bit for results. So remember, as you're going into next year, if you're thinking about, all right, I have employees or I have family that I work with and I want them to emulate certain behaviors, I have expectations for them. Be the leader that models that on the farm in everything that you do. Share your vision. I know this happens in many operations. Those who are in charge may not always tell everybody else what you're driving towards and what you're trying to get to. If you share that vision, there is no doubt that people will help you get there much faster and in better ways. So don't be afraid to let them know. And it's okay to challenge the status quo. If there's something that you've always done this way, maybe it's time to do it differently. You never know how that might be an improvement for you. So think about those things as you're getting ready for next year. And I want to hear the check of the weather because I'm already looking ahead as to how's this week going to go and what days I shouldn't be traveling.
Pretty quiet week. Today's the coldest day of the week with temperatures today topping off into the low to mid 20s and only dropping down to 20 tonight as southerly winds pick up. And then we're going to be warming from today into the mid to upper 30s Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and the 40s on Friday and Saturday. Yeah, our chance for a white Christmas not looking the best, that's for sure. But we do have a storm coming in Christmas Eve and Sunday. But it looks to be mainly rain, possibly changing to snow on Christmas. But we'll keep an eye on that because if you do have any travel in the Dakotas, Minnesota, or down into maybe as far south as Nebraska, where they've got a better chance of getting snow in the western parts of South Dakota and into Nebraska, the way it appears. Now, if that storm lifts up further north, then that snow spreads into central and western parts of North Dakota, and then that'll change the snow over our area on Christmas. So I have to say odds right now with Bridgette traveling towards the Bismarck area, this storm will absolutely head north. Just gonna lay it.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Wait. Everybody calm down.
That'll be next weekend.
What's the other one?
A bomb cyclone. What's a bomb cyclone? I don't even know what to do. If there was a snowstorm or a blizzard, I would know what to do. But what do I do in a bomb cyclone? Oh my God! Bomb cyclone. I don't know what to do.
Speaking of
we won't have to worry about that.
No, not gonna be a bomb cyclone, but man, speaking of cyclones, the East Coast has been getting battered.
Man, the East Coast.
Oh my goodness!
And they're one of those target areas on the LRC this year. It's been rain mostly. It will change the snow, but they're getting hammered with flooding rains up and down the East Coast. So
Mother Nature.
Just gonna send it.
At least we're not there. We're enjoying quiet weather.
Well, we appreciate you joining us today. We're back tomorrow, 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Hey, do you guys know what's coming up next?
Number one show in the market.
Identified as
number one. The Jay Thomas Show is coming up next.
Rev up your holiday